After a long week cashing, you're just in the mood for crashing. Go get that 2-minute minor for slashing and come on down to the Sin Bin, your #1 location for hockey information. With Matt.
I saw a fucking Chinese kid review a toy that looks like a dildo, and he gets $10 million over it.
And Jake.
It's just what you do at your time. Some people do mediocre podcasts, and some people fucking shit on football fields.
So lock your wife in the closet. Grab a room temperature beer. Put your hand halfway down your boxer briefs and blast your stereo for the greatest hockey show! This is the Sin Bin. Take it away, Matt.
That's right. We are the greatest damn hockey show on the internets. My name is Matt. Welcome to the Sin Bin Hockey Podcast. This is the show of November 18th, 2019. Obviously, another packed week of news, and I am so glad to be joined here with the one, the only, the legendary Jake Link. How are you, Jake?
Legendary Chaz Bodo.
So, like I said, a lot of big news coming out. Let me just say, a lot of the news was coming out, bleeding out of the Don Cherry situation. I understand a lot of you, maybe it's a little bit, we're talking about it too much and this and this and that. That's completely fine. I don't care. I need to get certain things off my chest, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to be talking about the Jess Allen situation. We're going to be talking about the Leafs. The Leafs suck. We're going to be talking about, what else? Other things. We got some big news. I don't want to spoil it right off. So, Jake, let me just ask you, before we jump into it, did you do anything relevant this week, or did you just do like me and eat nachos and masturbate?
I actually had to go to a funeral.
Oh.
the past 2 weeks,
Hopefully
I've
you
actually
didn't do it
there. Yeah. Hope everyone have a nice week. I actually had to go to 2 funerals within the past 2 weeks. My uncle passed away, and my mom's boyfriend passed away.
Oh, damn. Oh, shit. I never put up the image. Oh, damn it. Next episode, buddy. I'm sorry. But yeah.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, sorry. Shit.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. Thank you to if you reached out to me and all that. So, I had to. My mom was, pretty much didn't get along too much with my mom's boyfriend. Like, it wasn't like he kind of just he was there, but my mom, she was devastated, obviously, and she I had to be there for her.
Yeah.
So.
Well, hey, may God rest his soul, and I'm sure he's in a better place. Definitely. And I think that's a good segue, going from one misery to another. And we are going to talk about this girl. So, Jake, let me just, can I start this by saying a knock-knock joke?
Yeah.
Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Jessica Allen.
Jessica Allen who?
Mithaku Pathaka Jedi Scum Hukapaka Wookie Wa.
She looks like me if you put a wig and round glasses on.
I have compared her to Jabba the Hutt in the past.
Yeah,
I have compared her. Now, a lot of people, they're saying, Matt, you're bullying her. Oh, Matt, this isn't what YouTube should be for. You shouldn't be bullying a lovely girl like Jessica Allen. And to that I say, well, hold on. She's not necessarily lovely. Let's raise our standards a little bit. And second of all, I feel what she said, her comments, I think that's bullying. And we live in an era where, hey, we're all for equality. We're all for this and that. Okay, equality means she bullies, I bully her back. Hey, we're even. And in case you guys didn't hear it, the news today, or that happened a few days ago, is that there's this show called The Social, Jake. I made a video a few hours ago, actually. I'm going to have to reiterate some of my sentiments, but that doesn't bother me. So, usually when we say the Canadian version of, that usually means the Diet Coke version of. It's sort of like a watered-down, diluted, crappy version. Okay? Like, for example, Canadian internet. It's the shittier version of American internet. Canadian Netflix is the shittier version of American Netflix.
Wait. There is a Canadian Netflix?
Yeah. The Canadian Netflix. So, when I say the Canadian, and they say this is the Canadian version of The View. The View is already a crapshoot to begin with. So, when you say the Canadian version, hey, I'm going to die. I'm just going to die. So, there's this girl on it. I've never heard of her before. Her name is Jessica Allen. Jessica Allen. She made these comments, and it got a lot of people frustrated. She said something, and I apologize, I don't have the direct quote. I'm paraphrasing. She said that in her experience, when she was young, a lot of the hockey players, they weren't very nice to her. I think the word she used was impolite. But the thing that's really got the people's blood boiling is that she says most of them were white. I mean, first of all,
yes.
If I saw Jessica Allen in person, I just want to ask her, before I call her Jabba the Hutt or anything, I just want to ask her, why did you need to say most of them were white? Like, what does that add to your argument? It just,
I don't know.
Okay, so Jake, I got a lot of things I kind of need to organize in my head. Why don't you take this away? What did you think of Jabba's quotes, and what did you think of it?
When I first saw her and I heard her talk, I was like, what in the Lena Dunham is going on here? I was like, she is Canadian Lena Dunham.
Yeah.
She may as well be. As a right now, the white being a straight white male in America, it's to if I could equate it to anything, it's like being the New England Patriots. Everybody hates us.
Except us.
We always find a way. We always find a way to get the upper hand.
Yeah.
But when all in all is done, we're gonna win.
Yeah.
So it's it's like what we see down and out. There's just straight white men come again. It's that's what this is an attack on. It's her being straight white men, hockey players,
Yeah.
It's like, listen, like, and it's easy to say that you and I are both, macho alpha, lead, follow, get out of the way type guys. But
I'm very masculine.
Yeah, I know you are, but there's also other sides to you.
Yeah.
Like you're a piano player,
Yeah, but I'll play like masculine songs. But yeah, I get it. Go ahead.
Manly songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Pantera on the piano.
Yeah. Well, I personally think Beethoven is pretty masculine. He died of syphilis. Did you know that? I mean, is that not the most masculine way? Yeah, the masculine way to go. Dakota Matthews says, I heard Don Cherry is coming back with his old radio show. Is that true or is that a hoax? Listen, this news came out just a few minutes ago, and we'll get to that right after we're done with done with this dumb bitch.
With Lena Dunham.
Done with Lena Dunham.
Yeah. She is, and she's also like just shaming people for liking hockey. Like,
oh yeah.
Like she's making people feel guilty for, listen, if that's not what you're into, that's fine.
Just why do you have to guilt everyone? That's the question.
I know, but like $5,000, like it's their $5,000.
Dude, if we saw what she spent $5,000 on, we'd probably want to kill ourselves.
Tim Hortons.
5,000 copies of 50 Shades of Grey or something dumb like that.
I bet her vagina looks like your back.
That's pretty bad. Listen, we all have different interests in this world. I mean, not everyone is like Matt Kazar. Not everyone is like Jacob Link. I think the world would be horrible if we were all the same person. We're gonna have different interests. Why shit on someone who has different interests from you? For me, it doesn't make sense. I said it in my video. It's like if a guy comes and I say, hey, what's your favorite meal? And he says chicken. And I say, oh, you like chicken? Well, you should like spaghetti because I like spaghetti. It makes no sense. Actually, most hockey players, if you ask their pregame meal, it's actually chicken and pasta. Like 99% of them will say chicken and pasta. But these comments, they're egregious. I mean,
she's shaming people into think like me. It's very like my. She's trying to just her her thing is going to like-minded people like her.
First of
Don
all,
Cherry's a bully and everything. Blah blah blah. I was like, Don Cherry, he was an entertainer.
Yeah. First of all, do you ever just look at someone and you're too far away from them to smell them, but just seeing them, you can say, wow, that guy looks like he stinks.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm watching this video, and all I'm thinking to myself is, God damn, Jessica Allen must smell like vinegar. But
I I look at her, I'm like, okay, you look like someone who could be pretty.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, you sound like somebody who's about to try and get alimony from me.
Yeah. No, dude. It's completely freaking egregious. And what's the worst thing? Sorry to interrupt you. The worst thing.
No. Yeah, it's okay.
I got into an argument on Facebook with my high school history teacher because I put up a post and I said, oh man, Don Cherry got canned. This sucks, yada, yada, yada. And he said, you should read the document if legends were yada, yada, yada. And you could see that people misuse free speech. Don Cherry's comments were bald racism comments. I said, whoa. Racism? I mean, if you say they're discriminatory, I don't agree with you, but I could see where you're coming. You can't say it's racist because he didn't invoke race. It's not like he said the blacks, the Arabs, the Jews, the Muslims, the this, the that. He said you people. People, it encompasses many different races. It could be Irish. It could be, Syrians are brown, but racially they're Caucasian. It could be many different people. So I said, this isn't racist. When you look at Jessica Allen's comments, that's racist. That's racist.
You can't be racist to white people, though.
Exactly. And you know why, Jake?
You can't.
You know why, Jake?
Because the straight white male runs the world. So
the straight white men run the world. It sucks because male. I've had this conversation with a friend. He's like, oh, but the history that happens with the blacks and this and this and that, and there's a horrible history of what the whites done with the blacks. What does that got to do with me? I wasn't born yet. Yeah. I wasn't even conceived.
And you're Syrian. You don't even have a dog in the race.
Exactly. I was a sperm in my dad's ball
Syrian
sack.
Sperm.
A Syrian sperm in my dad's ball sack. I had nothing to do with that. So how come today, in this era, we're treating the men as if they're the one that did the slavery, that did the injustice, what have you? We didn't do it. I'm some fucking millennial from Canada, born from Syrian parents, who has hair all over his back. You're some dude from New Jersey who... Do you have diabetes or... I can't remember.
No, I don't.
Okay. He doesn't have diabetes, but you're some dude from New Jersey. We had nothing to do with that injustice. So why treat us like shit? And hey, I'll go a step further. What happened to your ancestors? They'll look at your life right now, how comfortable you are, how peaceful you are, and they'll laugh at you. They'll say you didn't go through shit of what I went through. What, a guy in a bar one day looked at you kind of weirdly?
Yeah. I mean, there is still racism out there, and you can't say that there isn't.
No, there isn't. No, I'm agreeing with you. There is still racism. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, there's still very ignorant people out there. Yeah. And I think like right now, like Don Cherry's comments, yeah, they weren't that bad, but I think this Jessica Allen, she comes off more ignorant than Don Cherry did in that whole entire thing. The fact that, and for somebody that doesn't know about hockey, she really knows how much it cost. And I don't know exactly where she's from. I can't even find a Wikipedia on this broad,
Yeah.
you know. I like saying broad because she's the type of person that if she were to hear this and she heard me calling her a broad, she would get really pissed.
Oh yeah. And dude, do you imagine being at that crowd where she's saying all this crap and people are applauding her? Hey, if I were in that crowd, and I would be really a black sheep because I don't have a vagina, but if I were in that crowd, I would have thrown my inhaler at her. I would have looked her square in that fat fucking face and thrown my inhaler at her. Dude, I said it in my video. I wasn't really popular as a kid, as you very well know, Jake.
Neither was I.
Yeah, and that's what fucking annoys me when people say, "Oh, well, they're privileged. The white are privileged. Dude, I'm very privileged when it comes to my parents. They spoiled the fuck out of me, both financially and just like with their love. That I was privileged in that sense. When I was at school, the way people treated me, it's not privilege at all. I mean, I had people, the bullies, they would come up to me, they'd look at me, they'd spit right in my face. And I don't even mean that figuratively. They would spit gobs of saliva into my visage. Does that sound like privilege to you?
I don't know what a visage is.
I think I just fancy word for a face. Bruh, no one wanted to sit with me at the dinner, at the cafeteria tables. I would sit alone. And my sister, who went to the same school as me, I wouldn't sit with her because she was an even bigger geek than me. But it's so...
Yeah, you learned a lot from your bully. Yeah, I can sit with that loser.
No, sometimes I would get so offended.
Hi, Matt. See you at home. I don't know who you are. Look out of here.
Sometimes I would get so embarrassed, I had to take my lunch into the toilet because I didn't want people to see me eat alone, which made it very hard when someone was taking a shit next to me and I'm trying to eat. It's just really, really hard. Zachary Hakolt.
Hey, Matt. If I was in high school with you, I would probably have made fun of you.
I know, and that's okay. I forgive you. I completely forgive you.
I probably would. It probably just would have been like, just to try and up a level.
And
but
who were the cool people? You know who the cool people were? The gays and the blacks. The complete opposite from what you would think, based on dumb people like Jessica
So
Allen.
if you're a RuPaul, you're fucking it.
Yeah. And dude, it sucks because I'm so fucking pale for a Syrian. I'm really pale, so people just assume I'm white and I'm quote unquote privileged. But in reality, I'm a white Arab. I get the worst of both worlds. Because at least if I were a brownish Arab, people would look at me and they'd like think I'm some cool unicorn and they'd respect me. But oh no, now I'm just one of you guys. I'm just like you, Jake.
Just like me.
J.S. Ferrier, he says Grapes said nothing wrong. Jess Allen is an all-round cunt. Zachary Hakolt says thoughts on the sexy Kale Fleury goal. Well, it was sexy, and we'll get to that later. Dakota Matthews says...
No, he said sexy Kale. I'm like, oh no, somebody has a crush on Jess Allen.
Dakota Matthews says, you people get offended too easily. Where's the backbone of our society? Jake, did I ever tell you about Dakota Matthews?
No.
Dakota Matthews was a guy at my school. And he's actually the guy that introduced me to cigarettes, by the way. Or maybe not introduced, but he definitely got the ball rolling. Dakota, tell me if you remember this. We were sitting at a table in Tim Hortons. Our school had a Tim Hortons in the school, which shows you how Canadian we are. And Dakota sees an old teacher. He sees an old teacher from way back when, one of his old teachers. And they're talking about something. And the teacher says something, and she's saying, oh, isn't it bad how XXX, I can't remember. And then Dakota goes, yeah, I know, it's retarded. Like right in her face. And she goes to him, she's like, oh, so insensitive. And Dakota doesn't get what he said was wrong. Tell me if you remember that, Dakota. Oh boy.
He's throwing up laughing faces
Yeah.
in the chat, so I guess he did.
Joe says visage is the French word for face.
Yes, okay.
He says, I mean, I don't want to say anything mean about her, but I definitely disagree with what she said. Dude, Joe is the type of person.
Things.
Joe, I wish I were a person like Joe. I don't see him ever get mad at anyone and ever insult someone in the comments. He's always like very, he'll argue like, oh, I see your point of view, but this. I love it. He says he remembers it.
He says he's too Switzerland.
He's too Switzerland.
Yeah. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Get mad at her.
Yeah.
Come on. Call her a nasty word.
Yeah. By the way, how are your girl problems? Let us know.
Yeah.
Dakota says, I was so confused, to be honest. There's nothing wrong with retarded. I'm not going to delve into that. Oh, boy.
Oh, shit.
Okay. So, I think we hit it on the head for, I wish I could hit her on the head. I think we hit it on the head for Jess Allen. But...
So if a girl like Jess Allen came up to you and said, hi, would you like to go on a date? What would your answer be?
I think I would do it just because it would be funny. Like the type of conversations we would have.
Yeah, I want to go out for, like I said, not for romantic reasons.
Yeah.
It would just be, like, oh God, you're the worst.
Dude.
Like,
My brain just skipped ahead, like past the dinner, past the movie, and it skipped right to when we got to my place. And I just imagined going down on her and, ugh, fuck. That's horrible. Like, I could smell it. Yeah. Oof. She looks like the type of person who doesn't maintain herself down there. Would you say so, Jake?
Yeah, like I said, it probably looks like your back.
It looks like my back. And that's no pretty thing to say.
Yeah.
Jake.
Or your ass. It probably looks like your ass.
Did you see the video I made about hockey jerseys?
No.
So there's a part in the video. I'm wearing a Subban jersey. And there's a part in the video. Someone wrote, I'd smash Jess Allen, but I wouldn't be proud. Gravity! Gravity's here.
Yeah.
Gravity. Oh shit, dude, I'm like your biggest fan. I loved the video you made with your mom. That was fucking hilarious. Dude, you know this guy, Jake?
Or is it on another platform?
Dude, I got starstruck. You must have seen him. He's the Stars fan. What was I talking about before?
I don't know. He said I smashed Jess Allen, but wouldn't be particularly proud of it.
Yeah, but before that,
I'm sure. You know, we all put up a front, but it'd be like, yeah, okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. By the way, guys. By the way, if you guys want to call in, voice your opinions. If you have Skype, call in into Skype user the Sin Bin. You could voice your opinions. And actually, Gravite, I saw your video on Don Cherry. And I liked your video. And it's proof that two people can have different opinions. They can have different opinions. And you could still like the video. Because it's not like he was out of line like Jess Allen. He explained his points. Buddy, I know you got a lot of dislikes, but I'm one of the few people that I disagreed with you, but I saw your opinion. So, hey, if you want to call in, we can converse about it, and that's that. Anyone who wants to call in, talk about the Canadians, talk about whatever it is, you're good to go. But moving on away from Jess Allen, we got another big news, and this is fairly recent. I'm hesitating to say breaking news. So, Don Cherry, it appears that he's already back. We've got news that Don Cherry is reviving his old radio show, Don Cherry's Grapevine, as a podcast with the first episode scheduled to be released tomorrow. Welcome back, Don. You can get it Tuesday on Spotify, Apple Music, etc. So this is pretty big news, Jake. What do you think of Don Cherry coming back and making his Grapevine podcast?
Well, I mean, it's 2019. You can't. It's hard to silence people.
Right.
It's not like, oh, great. Like, because guess what? Yeah, is he going to reach as big as an audience as he did in Hockey Night in Canada? No. But you know what? He's going to still reach an audience, and you're going to listen. I'm definitely going to subscribe. You're going to subscribe, and that's all. That's all there is to it. It's just you and I, we're going to listen. I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
And especially, with everything that happened to him, I won't be surprised if he finds himself another another job in the media. But this is definitely a way that it's going. Is podcasting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit surprised that he is going into podcasting this soon.
Yeah. Dude,
I won't lie. I'm a little bit, yeah.
It mustn't be him controlling everything. He must have some engineers and stuff like that. I can't see him. Yeah. I can't see him making stuff like that. But listen, I wasn't old enough to listen to the original Grapevine, but the idea of it. I got to be careful with my words here. But the idea of a Don Cherry podcast, it almost makes me kind of happy he was fired in a way, because what happens on Coach's Corner, Biz Nasty said it the best. Don Cherry, he's like a bus, and Ron McLean is the one controlling the bus. And Ron McLean, he's constantly making sure that Don Cherry doesn't go out of line. And they got these little earpieces, Jake, and they say stuff, and they'll say, don't go too much onto this subject. Hey, change the subject now. We got the filtered Don Cherry this whole time. Now that he's working for no one, he has no one in his ear. Ron McLean is obviously not there.
It's not like he's made enough money. He's 85 years old. He's been doing that for 40 years. He's made his money.
For sure.
So it's not about money. It's about the love of the game and the love of, him broadcasting it's the same reason why we do this.
Yeah.
But he has a bigger following, obviously.
Oh, for sure. Dude, just the people that supported him through this whole thing. There were thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who signed a petition, and just a lot of people that supported him. Do you imagine how, not rich because he's already rich, but how richer he would be if this was a paid podcast where you had to pay for it? Dude,
he's going to have, I can picture him. Don't have to cook. Don't like cooking. Don't like going to the grocery store. Go to Blue Apron. BlueApron.com. Put in the code grapes, and you'll get 20% off.
If you don't like cooking, you don't like aprons.
If you're a woman and you're working and you want to make your husband a nice meal, talking to you, Jess Allen.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Moving away from the Don Cherry stuff and into the more hockey related stuff. I'm gonna skip the midget story for now, Jake. I'm gonna move on to the Leafs, and we'll get back to the midgets. So the Maple Leafs, they were highly advertised to be a really good team this year. They were advertised to make a serious push for the cup. I know that Steve Dangle, I can't remember if it was this year or the year before. It seems like he says it every year, but I think he picked them to win the cup. He said stuff like, guys, it's different this year. I can feel it this year. Well, the Leafs aren't up to the best start. Absolutely not. So, in 15 of their last 15 games, they have 2 regulation wins. 2 regulation wins. And that sparked that picture that I showed previously. I'll pull it up again. This was a fan at the last game. Did you see this, Jake?
Yeah, I did.
This was a fan at the last game, and it was against Pittsburgh. I believe
it was in 6-1.
The first photo was taken at the beginning of the game, and this photo on the right was taken probably at the end of the game when it was out of hand. I feel bad for the guy at this point. Before I get into the Leafs, just this
No, I
photo.
actually saw the video. They weren't taken like that. He just smiled for the selfie real quick
Oh,
with his girlfriend or whoever she is, and then he went back to just looking miserable because it was 6-1. They were losing.
damn. So he was like this the whole game, basically. Um,
Yeah,
I was gonna
or
ask you,
maybe he was
but
up with her.
apparently, I was gonna ask you,
Maybe it
but
has nothing to do with hockey.
apparently, I thought they were boyfriend girlfriend at first. Would you have said they're brothers and sisters?
No, I thought boyfriend girlfriend, like for sure.
Yeah, no, they're
No,
apparently they're brothers and sisters. Anyway, so the Leafs, there's a lot of things going on that's wrong in Leafland. Okay, first of all, Ovechkin this year, he came out, he said some words that were a little bit controversial. Okay, he said that if the Leafs want to win, they have to learn how to play as a team. And me personally, I had no problem with that. I had no problem. And you know why? If it were, let's see here, Steven Stamkos that said it, someone who hasn't won yet, a great player in his own right, but never won. I'd kind of see where the Leafs fans are coming from, but Ovechkin, he's the type of person who was in their shoes. He was on teams that could never win. So if you're to listen to someone's advice, take it from Ovechkin, the greatest goal scorer of this generation. And a lot of Maple Leafs that were really sour about it. And when I saw that, I said, okay, they don't realize what they're doing wrong because they're getting sour instead of agreeing with Ovechkin. So I think that Ovechkin really had a point. I think that the Leafs, they're a group of really good individuals.
yes.
Austin Matthews, great player. Mitch Marner, great player. Superstars. Morgan Riley, great player. I don't think they've reached the point yet where they're playing necessarily as a team game.
There's a phrase, and it's a cliche phrase, but cliches are cliche for a reason, and that's too many chefs spoil the broth.
Right.
And I think that's what we're seeing going on in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be the guy, and nobody wants to be, you know, have to. Everybody, nobody's. They're not playing as a team,
No.
playing as individuals,
And
and I think Ovechkin hit it right on the head.
Ovechkin hit it. And I'll go even further. I think this was the case for the past few years. I honestly think that Freddie Anderson is maybe top 5 goalie in this league, and he was the one that was making them look good. This year, Freddie Anderson, he's average at best. So now you're seeing their true colors. You're seeing their true colors. And goddamn, they rely on him heavily. That poor Freddie Anderson. He always starts off the year. Part of why I traded him to you, by the way. Which I don't know if it was a win-win or a lose-lose, but I think it's pretty even. Freddie Anderson starts the years. He's always pretty good. And by the end of the year, he always seems to get a little bit fatigued. And that's why I did my Canadians podcast. You guys should check it out. Someone asked me, they should have played Carey Price against New Jersey instead of Keith Kincaid. And I agree. But you have to take into account every game accumulates over the course of a season. There's an accumulation. Carey Price is a goalie that's notorious for having chronic fatigue, for having injuries. You want him to be spanking fresh for the playoffs. And one thing that I've often seen with the Leafs, they've relied on Freddie Anderson so heavily that come playoff time or even near the end of the season, he tends to get burnt out a little bit. His best hockey is rarely in the playoffs. And I feel for him because I do think he's like a top 5 goalie in this. Don Cherry, ironically, thought he was the best goalie in the league.
I mean, he's up there. There's not a lot of great goalies in the league, but one thing I must say is it goes both ways. Like you say, oh, you want a goalie to be fresh. Sometimes you want a goalie to be loose, and the only way to keep him loose is keep him playing. Yeah. Martin Brodeur, Dominic Hasek, Patrick Waugh. One thing that all those guys had in common is there was at least 60 starts that they were in net.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's my my thing, and it's like, you know, I kind of you know, I think goalies are too coddled with
Yeah.
starting, and you know.
All right. So Scott Jungman, he says, nice show, gentlemen. Thank you, Scott. He says Leafs have no heart, grit, or grind, and blame the coach, GM, and players equally. He goes on to say, you have to have players go to the hard areas and sacrifice themselves. Yeah, absolutely. Joe says, he says, if it were up to you, Jake, would you still have Kincaid on your team? Or would you rather would you still have Kincaid on your team and have a Blackwood-Kincaid duo as opposed to a Blackwood Domingue? It actually
Louis
leads in.
Domingue.
It leads into our next story because I guess we'll skip to it now since he's asking the question.
Yeah.
In case you guys haven't heard the news, Corey Schneider, who at one point was touted as a really good goalie prospect way back when he was with Vancouver, he recently got sent down to the minors. Did he clear waivers, Jake? Or
That I don't know. I think
maybe the
I haven't heard any.
period hasn't ended yet.
I think no. I don't know. Like I think it's like within a week.
Okay.
That I don't know how the waivers work in the NHL.
Well,
so,
regardless, if you were to answer Joe's question, would you rather at this point, having kept Kincaid and have a Blackwood-Kincaid duo, or would you rather a Blackwood-Domingue duo as it is now?
you know what? I like from what I've seen from Louis Domingo. I know he played with Tampa Bay, but from what I've seen him do, he seems like he could be a legit starter.
Fringe.
He's for the Devils.
Yeah.
I like you know, he has good side to side movement. He kind of plays a little bit of that Dominic Hasek style, like where he kind of gets a little bit you know, creative with his you know, he'll stack the pads, he'll throw his legs up, and
That's what she said.
you know, has a good glove. He's flexible. So I mean, right now, just Schneider, he's a shell of whatever he was gonna be. You know, we gave up this a number 6 pick for him, and that pick turned out to be Bo Horvat. So,
Ooh, fuck.
so yeah, that's who Vancouver got with that. So right now, we lost on that deal. You know, at the time, I thought the deal was great.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I don't think is maybe as bad as it might seem initially, because he did play decent the first few years. I mean, it's still a bad trade.
Yeah, he had an all-star year. He had an all-star year.
I am Jake. I am so against overpaying goalies, either if it's in a trade or just giving them a big contract. And I hate to say it, but that includes Carey Price. I don't think that it's a good idea to pay $10 million for a guy who's going to miss around 20 games a year, since goalies only played 20 million. But also, I find that the competition for goalies in this league, there's a lot of good goalies, and there's not many available positions. Think about it. There's only 2 goalie positions on each team, and there's a ton of goalies. So teams like Toronto, do you know what they got Freddie Anderson for?
I know it wasn't much.
It really wasn't much. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. I'm gonna actually research it, but if memory serves me right, it was like almost a 2nd-round pick, a very low 1st-round pick.
I mean, I just want to answer Joe's question. Do you think the run the AHL will be good for Schneider? Do you think he will be able to bounce back? I mean, he had a good preseason, but I just don't think that I don't think that he's going to bounce back, and I honestly think Domingo's going to actually steal the show. I actually think, you know, Domingo might be the missing piece, and when I saw that the Devils traded a 7th-round pick for him, I was like, yeah, get him.
I will say, uh, I want you to be happy, and I like your team, so I absolutely wish he's like that. But I will say, Domingo, he played in the Coyotes system. He was not very good. He moved over to the Tampa Bay system. He was great. He looked great. He was one of, if not the best backup in the NHL. I think that's more of a testament of how good Tampa is and how not good the Coyotes were. The Devils are more so akin with the Coyotes.
He did have a decent year with the Coyotes. He had like a 3 goals against average.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, he was definitely a good backup for
And we've seen it in the
Tampa.
past, goalies that come out of nowhere. Like Devin Dubnyk. He was in the minors at some point.
He was. Yeah.
He was with the Canadians at some point. He was playing with the Canadians farm team. So that just shows how unpredictable these are.
Goalies come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like Sebastian Zaguer, probably in 2003, he probably had one of the best playoff runs that I've ever seen a goalie have.
Yeah.
And still lost the Stanley Cup.
All right.
He what is it, Roman Cechmanek, Johan Hedberg, just
Lundqvist.
These goalies.
He was a 7th round
Lundqvist,
pick.
too. Yeah, but I'm just saying, sometimes these goalies, they just get hot. Remember Andrew Hammond, the Hamburglar?
I mean, he blew his load really early. He was hot for a brief period of time.
Yeah.
I'm just looking up, speaking of goalies that were stolen in the draft. Do you know where Pekka Rinne was drafted? If you were to take a guess. Okay, he was drafted back in the day. I don't think they stopped at 7 rounds. I think they went further than that. I think it was either like 12 rounds or something. I'm just gonna make sure. He was drafted 258th overall. That's in the 8th round.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm looking at what you have up now.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I heard this somewhere. He was the last pick of the last round in 2004.
Oh, really?
Let me just... Oh, no, sorry. It was bullshit. It was the last pick of the 8th round, but there was a 9th round. Okay, my bad. But still, you get Pekka Rinne in the 8th round. That's an absolute steal. So there you go.
I mean, there's always I haven't seen like a goaltending. Every time like Steve Sparks, who's the goalie, he's in the Toronto system.
Yeah.
I was very high on him, but you haven't seen him since he came up.
Steve Sparks. Okay. All right, there you go. Why don't we move on to our next story? We've almost been going for an hour. All right, this is more akin with those initial stories we're talking about. So, you guys, your hockey system there in the U.S., do you use the term peewee and midget?
I think we used to. I know for football and stuff, like we normally go U7, U16, all that.
Yeah.
So
in Canada,
under 16, yeah.
It was the way you classified the groups. So you had the age groups that was peewees, the age group that was midget. Well, turns out saying midget is too offensive now. I mean, we've decided that midget, it's too offensive towards, midgets. So we've completely changed the classifications. So that's why you see on the screen, instead of midget, the people that are 6 and under, they're called the U7s. And the people that were 7 and 8, they were the U9s. And then U11, U13,
It'll be
U15.
funny. It'll be funny if the real reason they did it is because people actually thought they were going to go watch midgets play hockey. Actually, and I have seen this. There was one time I went to an open hockey, and there was a little person skating. And
Really?
I was just like, "Oh my god, this is the most adorable thing ever!"
Yeah.
And like like you could tell, like he had like the big midget ass.
When we were in primary school, my school invited a bunch of midgets, and they were part of the hash pipe. I think that's what they were called. The half pipe basketball team. There were these midget basketball players. Jake Link. These guys would jump like Super Mario. It was incredible. They were tiny. They would jump up like Super Mario, and they had a game. It was the midgets versus the children. The midgets versus the teachers, and the teachers who are fully grown, very tall people. The midgets ended up winning. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And one thing I would never forget, they did a demonstration. So one of the midget, he calls one of the teachers up, Mr. Carl, and he makes Mr. Carl sit in an Indian position, and he says, "I'm gonna sit down next to Mr. Carl, and I'm gonna sit down next to him. And who do you think is gonna be taller when we're sitting down?" Everyone's like, "Mr. Carl." Like, he's obviously taller because he's a full person and you're a small person. So he sits down next to Mr. Carl. The midget is bigger than him. Sitting down, the midget was taller. And that's because, for some reason, their torso is normal size. I think it's their legs that are more so disproportionate.
There's different classifications of dwarfism, so.
Okay.
So like there's like ones where like you have like little T-Rex arms, and then ones where you just have like little legs. And but yeah, no, I mean, watching the midgets play hockey, that would be great.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Joe says,
little.
oh, sorry, we answered that question. So that's it about the midgets. And one of our last stories involves Matt Calvert. Did you see the video, Jake?
I did. Oof.
So what happened in this? There's the photo. A photo's worth 1,000 words, and I'm about to say those words. So Matt Calvert is in a game, and he's in the defensive zone. They're against Vancouver. Vancouver, by the way, they were wearing those retro jerseys. They looked amazing. And he's in the defensive zone. Vancouver is pressing. I think Pedersen shot it, or someone on Vancouver shot it right in his face. And it caught him, it went up, it caught him right on the side of the head. And he was down in pain. He was down on the ice, visibly writhing in pain. Blood everywhere, just blood everywhere. The referees didn't whistle the play down. I think that was absolutely stupid. There's obviously a guy injured. They didn't whistle the play down. And what made this extra super duper controversial is that Vancouver ended up scoring. I gotta say, Jake, I didn't agree with it, but it got me thinking. For example, the game against New Jersey, with the Canadians versus New Jersey, we said we would talk about it.
I knew this was coming up.
I have no problem if a team plays the other team, say Montreal plays New Jersey, and New Jersey outworks them and outmuscles them and works harder than them. I have no problem New Jersey winning. What I have a problem with is when the referees try to put their stamp on a game. And they try to put their stamp and they change the outcome. And then one of the team ends up winning. I hated the refereeing in that game.
That was a tough game. Especially toward the end. You had that one tripping call where practically the player from New Jersey just looked like he was playing leapfrog.
Yeah.
And then you have, and I might add, I am a diehard Devils fan.
Yeah.
Through and through.
Yeah.
That goal that was disallowed on Saturday night, in my opinion, was a goal. Because I know you're kind of, I want to know your opinion, because if you looked at the way that, I think it was PK was going towards the net and he pushed into the player, and then pushing into the player, the puck ended up going into the net. Now, Matt, I always thought that if it's by the player on the opposite team pushing in the puck
Yeah.
that or the player, and then something going off that player's body, like on the knee or something or whatever. That's a goal.
Yeah. You know what's my problem though? I always thought kicking, it's with the foot. You kick a ball with a foot,
Yes.
you kick a putt. Okay, apparently, and I'm just remembering it now. Do you remember when Andrew Shaw was with Chicago? He scored a goal by headbutting the puck in the net.
Yes.
All right. Well, that goal was
I'm
waved
trying
off.
to remember if that it was waved off.
Yeah, and the reason why is because apparently you can't use a body part to push it in. This is so weird
But
because
you can
what?
you can use a body part for the puck to go in, but you're not allowed to show a kicking motion or
Yeah.
like it could go off your elbow, it could go off your skate,
Yeah,
but
yeah, no, for sure. And I'm gonna say it. Phil Deneau had a little bit of a, I don't know if you can say kicking motion, a thrust motion. My problem is, if you look back at that clip, the defenseman who was next to Deneau, once Deneau tries to push it in, he goes with his glove, and did you see that comment? Jess's ass looks like 250 pounds of chewed up bubble gum. No, like, the defenseman, after he made the quote-unquote thrush motion, he takes his glove and he touches it with his glove. Now, tell me this. If someone were to kick it and then it hits the New Jersey player, wouldn't that negate the kicking motion? I'm just really confused. But either way, surprisingly, Jake, I didn't really have a problem with that being called off. I mean, it sucked for the Canadians. What I more so had a problem with is Jordan Wheel. Let me give you a bit of a scenario. So the day before they were playing in Washington, Jordan Wheel takes a stick right to the face. A hard stick to the face. It was by Lars Eller, and it wasn't a carry through. It wasn't a follow through of the shot. He sticked him right in the face, Duncan Keith style. Jordan Wheel was bleeding from the nose. No penalty. Against New Jersey, Jordan Wheel is facing the puck. You listening, Jake?
I'm listening.
Jordan Wheel is facing the puck. Jack Hughes comes from behind him. He skates into his stick. He didn't stick him.
Yes.
Jack Hughes skated right into his stick. And that's not worse enough. He bleeds on the play. He bled. First of all,
Yes.
it wasn't that hard of an infraction. Like, how fragile is your skin? I'm guessing, this is my theory.
I was trying to figure out like how he started bleeding from that.
They
too.
never showed it, and that's another thing. They never fucking showed it on the broadcast. So my theory is that since Jack Hughes, he's of the younger age, they usually have a lot more acne and whatnot. I think he just picked at his acne and showed a little bit of blood to the ref, because you cannot tell me that stick to the face was hard enough to make someone bleed. Unless he's a diabetic or an anemic or something like that affects your vasculature. Nothing like that should make you bleed. Go see a doctor. You might have type 1. The second thing that annoyed me. I can't remember the player. I think it was Nick Cousins. Kulak. It was Kulak. He comes to Blake Coleman. He tries to hit him. He gets a penalty. Hit to the head. The ref says, hit to the head, hit to the head, hit to the head. You look at the replay, Jake. He didn't touch him. He didn't touch him. I mean,
it comes down to we got away with one, and we got 2 points.
Yeah, I have, dude. Again, I have no problem if the Canadians were just to lose the game fair and square. But when the refs do stuff like that to influence the outcome, that grinds my gears. And thankfully, they had a make-up call right after. But the last thing that annoyed me, and this is the third deadly sin, Philip Deneau took a penalty in overtime. Now, in my experience watching overtime in this league, or just watching like the last 10 minutes of a tight hockey game, The refs put their whistle away. Philip Deneau's hook. If it were the first period, absolutely. If it were the second period, absolutely. I rarely see stuff like that called in overtime. So the fact that after giving not one, not two, but 3 calls that effed over the Canadians, the fact that he went to call that a hooking penalty, and that New Jersey later scored on the penalty, Paul Minteri, the guy I dropped in my fantasy league, that was despicable. That was despicable. And just the other day, Ovechkin launches himself like a hot air balloon into Jonathan Drouin. No penalty was called on the play. Who the fuck's recruiting this ref? Who's doing the recruitment process? And I get it. The common thing to say is, well, hockey is a fast sport. The referees, they're not going to see everything. Hockey's a really fast sport. I think that's true to an extent. But if you can't go and see he didn't touch his face, or if you can't go and see that it's not Jack Hughes, that it's not him that got a sticking, he skated right into the stick, then you shouldn't be a ref in this league. You shouldn't be a ref. Go back to working at the, whatever it is, GameStop, whatever you should work at. You shouldn't be a referee in this league if you can't call basic calls like that. The Canadians are getting fucked left and right during these games. I fucking hate referees.
Now, Matt, that's very racist of anybody who's a referee.
That's racist for blacks and whites because they wear stripes.
Yeah, listen. You know, my father was a referee, okay? You by you saying you wish there was no referees, you're wishing that people like my father were out of work.
Yeah. Well, hey, if he's what was his name, McDougal?
I've been a ref.
What?
I've been a ref. I've done reffing for like hockey and all that. It's not fun.
Yeah. Paul
It's
Gee,
a thankless job.
He says dumb penalties being called and some penalties that shouldn't be called aren't tabarnak. I know I mastered that. Eddie Van Haskell says Jess's ass looks like 250 pounds of chewed bubble gum. I hate to know who's the unlucky guy that chewed on that ass. I'd hate to know.
I can tell you, it's probably whoever said it before that he did it, but be ashamed, but not proud of it.
Okay, Jake, under over 40%. Under over 40%. She has hair under her arms.
A little bit.
A little bit, like a little 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, like there's a little bit there.
Let me see. Keep talking. I want to see what her boyfriend looks like because I said in my video
if she has one.
If she has one.
I know. I was no, yeah. If she has one.
Yeah, because
no, but
for those of you who didn't see it, I'm just wondering. After she completely shits on white men, I wonder if her husband is a white man. Is he angry? Is he happy? What? Let's see. I see a black person, but I don't think it's the same Jessica
But that's
Allen.
not her.
No.
There is a Jessica Allen who's like that is not
Yeah, this
her.
one. That's not the Jessica. Yeah. This is the one we're talking about. Straight from the coffee shop. There you go. Jessica Allen, The Social. Fuck.
See, look in that picture, she looks okay. Like, it's like
Yeah. I don't know.
Let's just see. Maybe we should have her come on. I think she'd get along.
Oh
with
yeah,
us.
no, Jess. If you're listening, I know I've insulted you. I'm not really gonna apologize. I'm not in the mood. But if you were to be on the show, I would have a serious conversation with you. I would try to get into your thick
number.
skull. Get your number. Well, if she calls in, I already have her number. I want to try to get into her skull and find out what on earth were you thinking? Yeah, what on earth?
Matt wants to get your number and get some skull from you.
Yeah. Oh boy.
That's
Our
what he
last
wants.
story before we call the quits. We've been going on for a little over an hour. What up, Levi? If you guys have any last minute question, now's the time. I'm going to be ending it soon. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I need to go to the gym and shower afterwards. So we all know about Taylor Hall, the white black guy, as we've joked about, because of the size of his lips. So we know that he's probably not the happiest camper in New Jersey.
Anywhere.
So I've been I've been actually sending this to Jake forever. I wanted to do a story about this. I just think it's friggin' hilarious because if you guys have seen Taylor Hall's photo this year, I'm talking about the team photo. So this is the one the other year. I think last year. You see he's smiling, he's happy, he still has the big lips and the big mouth. He's happy. He just won
some big teeth.
He just won the MVP. Do you want to see Taylor Hall's photo this year? Dude, it looks like he's going to cry. Look at him.
Yeah.
What do you think is going through his head right now? I want to give him a hug.
He's just like, I don't. Why am I in New Jersey? I can't make left turns. I can't pump my own gas. What's going? I don't know if it's pork roll or Taylor ham. It's just
Now,
people are yelling at me. They don't even know who I am, but they're yelling at me.
I will say, we both think he's sad. He might be trying to be sexy as well. He might be trying to be sexy.
Trying to show those pouty lips.
Yeah, the whatchamacallit from Zoolander. Yeah, but what was the name for it? Like Blue Velvet or whatever? Just like the Blue Steel. Blue Steel, that's what it was. Blue Steel. It looks like Taylor Hall's trying to hit us with the Blue Steel. Joe says, do you think the Drouin and Byron injuries will affect us heavily? That picture screams, help me. All right, Drouin and Byron. Drouin, yes. He's been one of, if not our best forward this year. Byron, not as much. Not as much. I think that whoever's going to replace Byron, let's say Jordan Wheel, for sake of argument, I don't think there's that much of a leap between the Byron and Jordan Wheel. Drouin's going to hurt us. Drouin's going to hurt us, and I hear that it's a week, at least a week. We never know with the Canadians. It might go even longer than that. But, hey, Joe, buddy, if you want, on Sunday, I'm doing the Canadians podcast. And I'm answering your questions, and I'm answering your calls. And it's just like any old Canadians podcast out there, but minus being boring and whatever. But I am doing it. So if you want any more Canadians informations, make sure to join us on Sunday. I'm not sure of the time yet. I think I might push it towards 7. So just make sure to join us on that podcast, and we'll talk about the Canadians. Now, I hope you guys.
Hey, listen. Let me also plug. If you guys like the Canadians, but you're also having a hard time going to sleep, we could recommend another channel for you.
Yes. Okay. On that note, what's the channel called, Jake?
Talking.
No. The other name. I don't want to be that direct. Taking naps.
Taking naps.
If you guys have enjoyed this video, if you guys are still awake, I really appreciate you tuning in, and I think we had fun. I loved having you guys. Dude, Gravite was in there. I'm totally starstruck. I did get a boner. So I really want to thank you guys. You guys make up the channel. I see great things in the future. I see great things. And I would also like to thank Jake Link. Jake Link, thanks for being here.
Oh, I appreciate you having me.
I was going to say thanks for having me. That sounded weird. Like you're my dad or something. So, yeah, if you liked this episode and you liked it and you want to hear more about it and you want to see more, make sure to tune in we're changing the date. We just talked about this. So next week we're going to do Monday at 9. And the weeks thereafter, it's going to be on Fridays. So make sure to tune in Fridays around 9 p.m. We're going to be doing this. And if you're a Canadians fan, join me on Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to do the Canadians podcast. I'm going to take your Canadians questions. So
yeah, you know what's funny? We had somebody in one of the comments was, "What time is that in Central?"
Yeah, that's
Dude,
Zach.
Come on, huh?
That's Zach.
Yeah, it's like, dude, just take the time that we told you and add an hour.
Add an hour?
Take away.
Remove an hour.
Take away an hour.
Yeah.
Remove an hour.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't know it either. I had to Google it. Scotty says, Matt gearing up to replace Jess Allen on the social. Oh, snap. Ship's almost ending. I'll have to rewind her back. Yeah, make sure to check it out and make sure to like the video and make sure to subscribe. And as per usual, my name is Matt. Keep your stick on the ice.